My manager said, "If you don't go to the hotel with him tonight, kiss your promotion goodbye." The words hit my ear like poison, my manager's breath hot against my neck. I stood frozen in the dim hallway outside the executive conference room, my stomach dropping so fast I thought I might be sick. But I kept my face completely still. Because right behind him, through the glass wall, I could see the security camera's red light blinking. For the first time in 5 months of hell, I realized something important. I wasn't trapped. They were. My name is Natalie Pierce, and until that exact moment, I believed hard work alone could save me. 5 years I'd given everything to this company. Late nights when everyone else went home. Weekends lost to reports my department head later presented as his own work. Promotions promised, then mysteriously given to others. I thought if I just worked harder, stayed quieter, proved myself more, things would change. I was wrong. The men above me didn't respect dedication. They mistook my silence for weakness. I walked away from him, forcing my legs to move normally even though they felt like water. Employees laughed nearby at the coffee station, completely clueless about what just happened 10 feet away. My manager stood there watching me go, arms crossed, that disgusting smirk on his face. He thought he'd just cornered me. He thought fear would make me obedient, that I'd do exactly what he wanted because I was too scared to lose everything. He had no idea what he'd just started. I made it to the bathroom before my hands started shaking. I gripped the sink, staring at my reflection in the mirror. My face was pale, my eyes wide with shock that was quickly turning into something else. Something colder. "I will not be bullied," I whispered to myself. This wasn't the first inappropriate comment, the first lingering stare, the first uncomfortable moment. But right then, I decided it would absolutely be the last. Not another inch. Not another threat. Not another secret I kept for them. The pattern had been building for months. Late night, mentoring sessions, where my manager sat too close. The VP's eyes following me across rooms during meetings. My promotion application that got denied without explanation after I'd exceeded every single target. Then came the sudden shift. Private dinner invitations. Casual comments about team building at hotels. The pressure kept building, getting heavier, until tonight when my manager finally said the quiet part out loud. It wasn't incompetence holding me back. It was a setup. The next morning, I found a note on my desk. Just 4 words in his handwriting: "Don't forget tonight." No signature needed. I knew exactly who left it and what it meant. My hands tightened on the paper, crumpling the edges. Part of me wanted to rip it up, throw it away, pretend this wasn't happening. Instead, I smoothed it carefully and slipped it into a folder I'd started keeping in my locked drawer. My first piece of evidence. There would be more. My manager stopped by my desk later, casual as anything. "The VP will be at the hotel bar tonight around 8, he said loud enough for others to hear, like it was normal company business. "Meeting him would really help your future here." His eyes held a threat beneath the friendly words. My stomach turned, but I kept my face neutral. I'd learned that much at least. "Sure," I said simply. He smiled, satisfied, and walked away. He had no idea I'd just lied to his face. Before leaving work that day, I did something specific. I walked past the hallway camera from last night, studying it carefully. The angle was perfect. It pointed directly at the spot where he'd cornered me, whispered his threat. I checked the company security policy on my computer. Footage was kept for 30 days before automatic deletion. I had time, but not much. I noted the exact timestamp from my phone. The evidence existed. I just needed to figure out how to get it. I got ready that evening like I was actually going to the hotel, but only to create a record. I texted my manager, "Running late, might not make it." His response came fast and angry. Then my phone started blowing up. 3 missed calls. A voicemail from the VP himself, his voice dripping with entitlement. "Don't waste my time, Natalie." This was arranged. I saved everything. Every text. Every call log. Every word of that voicemail went straight into my folder. They were making this so easy. My manager stormed into my office the next morning, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. His fake smile was stretched tight across his face, not reaching his eyes at all. You embarrassed him last night, he hissed. That was incredibly stupid. He leaned over my desk, invading my space, trying to intimidate me. But something was different now. I wasn't scared anymore. I was calculating. That slam, that loud door, meant the hallway microphones probably picked up every word. I glanced at the glass panel. Perfect angle again. You want a real career here, he continued, voice rising. Then you need to learn how to play the game. This isn't about your reports or your numbers. It's about who you know and what you're willing to do. He thought we were alone. He thought nobody was listening. But I knew better now. That camera was pointed straight through the glass, probably catching his face, definitely catching his voice. I stayed quiet, letting him talk himself into a corner. When he finally left, I checked my phone. I'd been recording the timestamp. I tried going to HR first, hoping maybe the system would work. The woman behind the desk barely looked up from her computer. We handle real workplace concerns, she said dismissively. Office dynamics aren't our department. Don't make waves. She clearly knew something but wasn't going to help. In that moment, I understood. HR wasn't there to protect me. They were there to protect the company, which meant protecting the executives. I walked out of that office feeling more alone than ever, but also clearer about what I needed to do. That's when everything shifted inside me. I stopped being emotional. I stopped hoping someone would save me. I went cold, methodical, almost mechanical in my planning. I stopped seeking help from people who wouldn't give it and started building something they couldn't ignore. I opened a new folder on my personal laptop at home, password protected. I labeled it simply, insurance. Then I started filling it with everything I had and everything I'd gather next. This wasn't about revenge yet. This was about survival. The emails were everywhere once I started looking. Meeting invites marked, private discussion about your growth. Calendar notes for dinner opportunities with the VP. Suggestions to dress professionally for evening meetings at restaurants. He'd left a trail of entitlement in writing, probably not even thinking about it because nobody had ever challenged him before. I set up an automatic rule to BCC my personal email on everything he sent me. Every single word was building my case, one message at a time. Then something unexpected happened. A coworker, someone I barely knew, approached me quietly in the break room. She looked around nervously before speaking. He did this to the woman before you, she whispered. Same promises, same pressure. She left 3 months ago. Her voice shook. I can't go on record. I have kids, but I can give you dates. She scribbled them on a napkin and walked away quickly. I stood there holding that napkin like it was gold, because it was a pattern, multiple victims. That changed everything. I spent that evening buried in the company handbook, reading policies I'd never bothered with before. Most of it was the usual corporate protection language. But then I found something interesting. Buried in Section 7 was an ethics reporting procedure I'd never heard anyone mention. Anonymous complaints didn't go to our. They went to an external legal firm the company hired to investigate serious violations. HR couldn't bury it. Executives couldn't dismiss it. Once filed, it triggered a mandatory investigation. They couldn't ignore this. I finally had my path forward. Late one night, I stayed at the office working on a legitimate project. Most people had gone home. I walked past my manager's office and noticed his door slightly open, his computer still on. I shouldn't have looked, but I did. His calendar was visible on the screen. There was a meeting scheduled for next week, VP, Natalie leverage discussion. My heart stopped. Leverage. They were actively planning something worse. I took a photo with my phone, hands shaking. This wasn't just harassment anymore. This was conspiracy. The breaking point came during our weekly team meeting. My manager stood at the front of the room and casually mentioned that my latest project, the one I'd spent months perfecting, showed Natalie's lack of leadership maturity. Several people laughed. My cheeks burned with humiliation. I sat there while he tore apart my work in front of everyone, using words specifically designed to make me look incompetent. But I didn't defend myself. I didn't argue or get emotional. I just smiled slightly and took notes. Because everything he said was digging his hole deeper. I finally made my move with the security footage. I filed a formal request through the company's safety portal, citing a potential security concern in the executive hallway. The policy was clear. Any employee could request footage for legitimate safety reasons. It was completely legal and they had to comply within 5 business days. I held my breath after submitting the form, wondering if they'd fight it. But 3 days later, I received an email. The footage was ready for pickup. My hands stopped shaking when I read that message. I watched the video that night in my apartment, alone, with the door locked. The angle was perfect. The audio was crystal clear. There he was, leaning close to me, his mouth near my ear. And there was his voice, recorded forever: "If you don't go to the hotel with him tonight, kiss your promotion goodbye." The timestamp matched. My face showed shock. His showed satisfaction. It was perfect evidence. Undeniable. Unspinnable. For the first time in months, I felt something like hope. They'd finally made a mistake they couldn't erase. I spent the next week building my case like a lawyer preparing for trial. Every voicemail transcribed. Every email printed with timestamps. The security footage downloaded to 3 separate drives. The witness dates documented. That calendar screenshot. The note from my desk. My denied promotion paperwork showing I'd exceeded targets. Everything organized chronologically in a binder so thorough a jury could follow it. I wrote a 10-page summary explaining the pattern. Then I uploaded everything to the external ethics firm's portal. No going back now. The silence that followed was deafening. For 3 days, nothing happened. Then suddenly, everything happened at once. Meetings got cancelled without explanation. Executives whispered in corners, stopping when people walked by. HR was locked in conference rooms for hours. My manager disappeared completely, not showing up for 2 straight days. Rumors spread like wildfire through the office. Nobody knew what was happening, but everyone knew something big was going down. I kept my head down and worked, saying nothing to anyone. Waiting. The email came on a Friday morning. Company-wide. The VP had resigned to pursue other opportunities, effective immediately. 20 minutes later, another announcement. My manager was terminated for conduct violations. No details given. No explanation provided. Just gone. Both of them. Erased from the company directory within an hour. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I stared at it, then answered. "Natalie, please, can we talk?" My former manager's voice cracked. "I made a terrible mistake. I can still help your career. Please, just meet me." I hung up without responding. I saw him the next week in the building lobby. He approached me, desperation clear on his face. "Natalie, wait. Let me explain. I can fix this. I have connections. I can help you." He reached for my arm. I stepped back smoothly, looking through him like he was invisible. No eye contact. No words. No acknowledgement that he existed at all. I walked right past him toward the elevator, my head high, my step steady. Behind me, I heard him say my name again, quieter. I didn't turn around. 3 months later, I sat in a bright corner office across town. Not the same company. Somewhere better. The recruiter had called me directly, impressed by my track record and what she called my integrity in difficult situations. The story had spread quietly through industry circles. Higher title, significantly higher salary, a culture where HR actually protected employees. I signed the offer letter with hands that didn't shake anymore. I never called him back. Never sought closure. Never needed his apology. Because the best revenge wasn't destroying him. It was refusing to let him own 1 more second of my life. I simply moved forward, and left him exactly where he belonged. Behind me. This is my story.